Hey, friends, and welcome back to the Lazy Budget Travel Tips podcast. I'm your host, Genni Franklin, and today we're diving into something that doesn't get talked about nearly enough in the points and miles world, which is buying points on purpose. Yep, that's right, not earning them, not transferring them, but buying them. And if you've ever kind of side-eyed the idea thinking, why would anyone spend money on points? The whole point is to spend money to earn points. Then this episode is definitely for you. We're talking about how a 20% off Hyatt point sale turned into a luxury Christmas trip to New York City and unlocked a travel sweet spot that most people completely overlook. Whether you're short just a few thousand points or trying to make a dream stay happen during peak season, this strategy might be your new favorite tool. Joining me today is Ionna from Travel Points and Views. She's a fellow South Floridian and one of my favorite people to follow for down to earth travel tips and real life points and miles wins. I've been a fan of her content for a while, and when I launched this podcast, I knew I had to have her on as a guest. Her approach is smart, it's relatable, and super practical. And I think you're just going to really love hearing how she used the strategy to book some incredible stays without blowing her budget. So let's get into it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Genni. Thank you for inviting me. As soon as I saw that you had a podcast, I was like, oh, we need to connect. Like, I also love your lazy travel hacking mentality. That's definitely where I'm at in my journey as well. And so I knew I had to join you on your podcast. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being on. It's so refreshing to see more people with this type of content on the internet because there's definitely a lot of people who, I don't really want to say anything bad because everyone's content has a place, but I just think that there's a lot of content out there where people kind of makes them feel like points and miles aren't really accessible to them. And that's like my mission in life. And I know for you, it's really important to make sure that travel is financially accessible for everyone, and we both think that points and miles can be used by anybody.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's even for myself, like a few years down the road into this journey, I'm terrible at math, so still sometimes it can be overwhelming for me. Everybody likes to talk about, oh, I got this many cents per points for this. That can be really intimidating to people. And I think the important thing is, like you said, just having travel that's accessible without breaking your budget. And I'd see points and miles and travel hacking as an extension of personal finance. And it's just that it's personal, right? So it's going to be a little bit different for everybody.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the strategy of buying points. First of all, tell people why they would buy points or what that even is. Some people are like, wait, I didn't even know that you could do that. And then your aha moment with this strategy.
Sure. I actually had the same thought process buying points and also why on earth would I do that? And this was especially during my earlier days of travel hacking when you're like mid shiny card syndrome. The thought of buying points is like blasphemous. Of course, we're all trying to meet those high sign up bonuses and get as many points as we can get. It's like, why buy points if I can get it this way? But there's a lot of different reasons people may want to buy points. For example, is you can't sign up for a card yet. Maybe someone's in the very beginning of their travel hacking journey and they're in the process of building up their credit and maybe getting their first card. Maybe they can't get a new card yet, or they can't open a card right now, but they have upcoming travel. So if you want to top off points for something that you're so close that you're missing some, you may want to buy points. However, the thing about buying points is that it may not always make sense. Usually, if you're talking about what a point is worth, it may not actually make sense dollars wise. Like you might be paying more cash for those points than what they're worth. So really where the sweet spot for this is buying points when there's a bonus or a sale. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today because there are some great opportunities to be had when there are bonuses for buying points.
Hmm. And I like to think of it as because I just recently bought points for the first time ever. It actually made
Okay.
sense because it doesn't always make sense, like you were saying. And it was with Hyatt. My mom and I were going to Washington, D.C., and my mom was paying for it. She was like, I have points, but I don't really want to use them for this. So I want to pay cash. So I said, okay. So I reserved the room. And then I saw that there was I think it was 20 or 25% for Hyatt to buy points. And I thought, oh, I wonder if it would be cheaper to just buy the points than to actually pay the normal cash rate. And it was like we saved like $150 in doing that. And I was like, thank God that I actually looked at this. I never ever would have looked at
Yeah.
doing that. So tell us a little bit about your particular experience with buying points and the math that you do. What do people need to think of when they're considering buying points, or would it make sense?
It's actually hilarious that you mentioned the DC trip because I think the very first time that I ever bought points just to test it out was for a hotel in DC over a holiday weekend. And I think it's the same hotel. You were staying at the Hyatt place near the White House. I
Yes,
think we talked about
exactly.
this.
Yes, we did. We did. Yeah, yeah.
So I had the same thing. I'm like, I'd stayed there before and I just wasn't willing to pay the cash price for what it is. It was like over $600 for, a 2-night stay when I knew that that's not normally what it costs. So I remember hearing from, I think it's Finding Fiona and then also Max Miles Point, just casually mentioning in their stories or in a reel that they bought point. And I remember thinking then, like, why on earth would they do that? But then Finding Fiona, she did a very simple, her account isn't normally, it's not a point account. She's got a travel account. So her explanation of it was just very simple. Just, hey, how much does the hotel cost? Like in this case, it was over $600 for a 2-night stay. And then go check out what it costs to buy the points. So I did that and I go and I think at the time there was a 20% sale or bonus for points. And it came out to $412 to buy the points where it was over $600 to pay the cash price. So at that point, it's a no-brainer. I don't care if I'm paying more for the points than what they're worth. I'm still saving money. So I ended up saving just over $200. And that was just like a test. So that was a simple transaction there. But where this gets really juicy, and the reason we're talking about this today is when no other option because it's peak season or you have a dream vacation that you want to take and it's an astronomical price to pay for the property you want to stay at or the destination you want to stay at. This is such a good hack. And you don't have to complicate it by saying like, oh, well, I'm only getting X amount, cents per point. It's like, no, are you saving dollars? If yes, then do this. So where we took real advantage of this was last year. Every year since the pandemic, when we were able to travel and things like that again, we decided to have a Christmas or holiday tradition. And we go to a concert in New York every year for the holidays. And this concert is at the Beacon Theater, which is on the Upper West Side of New York, of Manhattan. And there aren't a ton of chain hotels there. Everything's either a boutique hotel and just very few of them. So it's kind of hard to hack. Normally, we're prepared to pay cash for a boutique hotel near the venue. One year, we used a free night certificate and some Marriott points to stay at a Fairfield Inn that's fairly close to the Upper West Side. This past year, we unfortunately had a delay in planning this trip because the concert was only announced at a certain date. And then we had some conflicting work travel and we had to figure out what was going on before we could book it. Unfortunately, because we took so long to book this trip or to look into it, the boutique hotel we normally stay at was completely sold out. The Fairfield Inn wasn't available on points and it was ridiculously priced. I would never pay whatever it was that they were asking for to stay at this hotel. So then we're kind of left in a situation where we're considering canceling this trip because everything else is either sold out or, 700, 800, 900, over $1,000 per night for a normal hotel. We're not talking about any luxury hotel here. So that's when I was like, what other options do we have? Okay, like what is available? We found a couple of Hyatt properties that were a little further away in Midtown, but we found some and I was like, okay, maybe we can do this. I definitely do not have enough Hyatt points. So let's figure out if maybe there's a sale on point. And sure enough, I checked and actually looking back, it wasn't a 20% bonus sale, it was 25%. The way that we planned that out was that we looked at the cash price, which was astronomical. The first property we looked at, it was over 2 grand, I think. It was like $2,300 for a 3-night stay. That's not something we would normally pay out of pocket. Yeah. Way outside our budget. We were planning to at least spend like, for the boutique hotel we normally stay at, maybe $1,400. We're splurging. But now we're in this situation, so we're like, there's no way we're paying $2,600 or whatever it was for the Grayson in New York City. But
I
let me
just
check
stayed
in
at the
and see.
Grayson on points. It's so cute.
I just stayed there 2 weeks ago. I paid cash because it wasn't worth it to pay points. So I finally did stay there, but I didn't stay there over the holidays because so we end up buying the points. There's a 25% sale. The math was very, very easy. We ended up paying $1,600. It would have been $2,600. We actually wanted to stay at the Thompson Central Park, but it wasn't available on point. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just keep the tradition going. We're just going to splurge, and we still saved money. It's a little bit more than what we would have liked to have paid, but we're still in the same ballpark figure. I kept checking MaxMyPoint to see what was available points-wise, and I just kept checking in the days leading up to the trip. And by some miracle, the Thompson Central Park opened up, and I immediately canceled my Grayson reservation and thankfully got the point back right away and booked the Thompson Central Park, which was actually going for over $3,100 for the same.
Holy crap.
I would never pay that cash, like ever. I mean, it's like a really nice hotel. It's just for us, it was more about proximity. It was close to the Upper West Side. And so I have never moved so quickly in my life. And I was like, yes, we're booking this. So in the end, a $3,100 stay we got for $1,600 essentially.
Wow.
We bought 70,000 points, but with the 25% bonus, it ended up coming out to 87,500 Hyatt points. So we booked that hotel and that saved our trip. Like we were able to do our dream trip, stayed at a way nicer hotel than we've ever stayed at. But yeah, this is when buying points makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it made sense in the first phase. And then it really made sense when you were able to switch hotels because when you canceled that hotel, it's not like you got $1,600 back for your points. You just got the points back. And then you were able to go ahead and just use those points to book. So you still paid $1,600 for those points, but you didn't spend the $3,300 or whatever. You were able to just use the same points. That's awesome. I don't think I would have thought to do that. So tell us a little bit because you mentioned MaxMyPoint. Can you just, for the listeners, tell them what MaxMyPoint is?
Sure. So MaxMyPoint is a website that actually has the calendar for each hotel. I don't know that they have all of the hotels across all brands, but they basically have the calendars and the availability of points bookings for each. And they have them listed under regular rooms, suites, and premium suite. And essentially what it does, it tells you if there's points bookings available for the dates that you're looking at, how many rooms are available, and how many points per booking. So for Hyatt, you have the peak and low season points prices. For example, that Hyatt hotel in Washington, D.C. we were talking about, I think in the low season, it's 12,000 points, but in high season, it's 15,000 points. Kind of varies that way. So it's a great tool for you to check to see before you buy points, before you plan your trip, if the hotel that you want to stay at has availability to book on point. I believe that you get 5 free searches per day or something like that. There's a limited number of searches per day if you don't pay the subscription. That has been enough to work for me, but I do think it's a great tool. It takes the guesswork out of knowing if the hotel you want is available on points for when you need to travel. So I highly recommend using that as a tool next time, especially if you're looking for something during peak season where it's hard to find points availability.
And I think I've heard this, you may know, but I think I heard if you do upgrade and pay for the subscription that you can set alerts. I feel like that's worked really well for people. Am I making that up? Okay.
No, there is definitely alerts. I didn't try it, so I don't know if it was only for the paid version or the free version, but yeah, there's definitely a button for alerts. Yeah, it's a great tool.
I think if I was going to use it, I would really want to use the alerts because I'm just like that person. Sometimes I remember to check, but sometimes I just don't think about it. If it was possible for me to set an alert for a specific hotel, that would be like a awesome lazy strategy, you know?
Oh,
So I'm going to check, guys, just to make sure that we're not.
yeah.
Oh, here we go. So any day alerts, you have to upgrade
Gold.
to gold, it looks like. I can get email alerts on the free. The total number of alerts it looks like I can get on free is only 1. I can use that for hot hotel alerts, and that's it. No any day alerts, daily change alerts, holiday alerts, that's all either gold or platinum. The alert frequency every 3 hours. Hotel view limit is 10 per day.
Yeah. I
10
know
per
there's
day.
a limit that I did not know existed.
Yeah, the limit does exist. So I did the research for you and try MaxMyPoint. It is free and you can do 1 alert. So if you want to check that out, thank you. Now that I know, I will definitely give it a shot.
It's awesome. And that's the real bottom fund lazy girl travel is set that alert. But if you're like me, who's apparently not as lazy as she thought she was, you also manually do it, or just, if you're bored, can't sleep, you're just like, hey, I wonder if that hotel would fail.
Sometimes if I'm not doing anything, which is rare, I will just like look at flights or I'll clean up my Google flight alerts.
I think I found out that the Thompson Central Park was available. Like, we were in the middle of watching TV and I just was hitting refresh, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, pause. You'll thank me later.
So funny. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about when points does not make sense. What would you tell people?
Definitely don't buy points just to buy coin. When you buy points, most of the times you're buying them for more than what they're actually worth. Another of my lazy hacks, because I'm bad at math and all these other things, I like to use other people's existing points versus cash calculators. One that I like to use a lot because they also value the points for you is the points guys, cash versus points
I use
calculator.
that one all the time too. I eventually
Yeah,
want to create my own, but it's just really low on the list and theirs is right there.
why reinvent the wheel? And get
Exactly.
validated all the points already. For example, according to them, a Hyatt point is worth 1.7 cents. So I don't have to do that. I already know. But if you do the math, you'll see that usually if you buy points while there's not a bonus sale, you're paying more for the points than they're actually worth. So that is already right there. I also wouldn't buy points speculatively. Points programs change all the time. You could just be buying points because you think maybe someday you're going to use these for whatever. And then it turns out that they completely changed the program and now these points are not worth what you thought they were, or they're not going to get you as far points per night you want to use or the property that you want to stay at. And then also I wouldn't do that because some points expire. It's just not worth it if you're doing it without having a plan.
Yeah. That can be said for a lot of things, not even just this, but definitely try to have a plan before you're transferring your points. I would say before you apply for a credit card, have a plan to meet the minimum spend so that this has never happened to me, thank God. But like, getting a credit card and then not being able to meet the minimum spend because I'm not trying to spend money just to spend money.
Exactly.
That would
Defeats
be
the purpose.
super sad. We don't want
Yeah,
we
that
don't
would
want
be
that for you.
sad. I know. I'm like, big same here, knock on wood, that's never happened. But I'm such a rule follower that I don't think I would ever even try
I
to
know,
do something
same.
that I'm like, I don't spend that much. I have no plan to get to that spend. I just couldn't put myself in a situation. It happens though. Sometimes you can have the best intentions and have planned, and then people's situations change and things like that. So I understand stuff happen, but thankfully I have not been in that situation.
And if you have
Um,
been in that situation, we're not trying to make you feel bad, but it's just something that you got to learn from and just keep on keeping on. I had a podcast guest and I was asking them about mistakes, but I thought the way that they were talking about like their beginner mistake, you would have thought that they missed a minimum spend. And I was like on pins and needles expecting them to say that, but then it was something really, really small, but I was like, whoa, okay.
I didn't get however many cents for points. Like, that's not a mistake. You used your points. Great.
Oh, I remember what
Like,
it was now. She was saying something which you guys, I don't even know when that episode's going to come out. They were doing a program. It was like a status match program. And I guess
oh,
they missed when they could stay the nights. Like they had to stay a certain amount of nights by a date, a certain date, and they missed it by a day. Like they
oh
thought they had to be checked
no.
out on the 20th, but it turned out to be they had to be checked out on the 19th, sort of.
Oh, yeah. I mean, which is like, again, it's like, it's sad, but,
Yeah.
it's not that serious.
Stuff right, exactly. And she was like, "No, but I called them and yada yada." And I'm like, "Girl, no, you're doing just fine."
Yeah, you're doing fine. It's
Like,
okay.
you guys,
That
mistakes
happened.
happen. Both, I mean, pretty much anything with points and miles, people are afraid to make mistakes. It's like without those mistakes, you wouldn't learn. But anyway,
Yeah, it's true. Speaking of that, there's certain things that people need to know before they buy points so that we don't make any mistakes or you don't end up getting the points. One thing we really need to talk about, it's so important, not just with buying points, but also when you're signing up for a new credit card and you're awaiting your sign up bonus, always read the fine print. There are some rules to buying coin. There are limits and there are certain things that you need to know. So, first and foremost, the program you buy your points through, even though you're going through Hyatt or Hilton or an airline, you're actually buying them from a third party. So, the website is called, I believe it's point.com, and they're a third party, but all of the major hotel chains and airlines go through them for the points purchasing system. One thing that this means is if you are trying to get a multiplier when you're buying this with your credit card, so if you think this is going to code as travel, it does not. Make sure you're using a card that's going to get you 2 points per dollar spent or whatever sign up bonus card you're working on a sign up bonus for, because it's not going to code as travel. So you're not going to get a multiplier for that. So that's one good thing to know.
oh my God, that's such a good point too, because people would think that that's going to code as travel.
Oh yeah, I totally did that first time I tried it out. I used my Chase Sapphire Reserve thinking I was going to get 3 times the points because it was a Hyatt purchase, right?
Mhm.
And that was not the case. I learned that one the hard way. I did not read the fine print. See, and we do these things so you don't have to.
Exactly.
So that's one thing to know. So if you're buying Hyatt points, you do have to have your World of Hyatt member account for at least 60 days before you can buy points. That is in the fine print. There's also a cap of how many points you can buy per calendar year, and it is capped off at 55,000 points per calendar year. And then normally the points are capped off at 55,000 points per year per purchase. However, when there is a bonus sale, those terms can change. And so this is something that I learned, and this is part of my adventure with buying Hyatt points that I learned over the holidays. When you're buying during a bonus period, that cap, in this case for me, did change. It tells you it is capped at 55,000 points per calendar year. And then immediately after that sentence, it says, except for during the bonus period in which you can buy up to 110,000 points per calendar year. the bonus points that you're earning for that 20 or 25% do not count towards that 110. So it's the 110 plus the 20% or the 25%. So you can get a lot of points. What happened to me during the period in which I decided to buy points is that in reading the fine print, I realized that this bonus sale was happening over 2 calendar years because it started in November of 2024 and it ended January 4th of 2025.
Oh.
If you read the terms and conditions, that means technically you're capped off at 220,000 points for this particular bonus sale period, which is exactly what we did.
Wow.
Because not only did we have that holiday trip planned, so maybe I didn't cap it off the first year. I purchased 87,000 points for that New York trip. And then I came to that realization I wanted to do an aspirational stay this year because I'm having a milestone birthday this year. So I'm turning 40 this year.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew that I wanted to stay at Miraval and I thought, well, why use my perfectly good chase point that I would love to keep flexible if I can just buy these points instead and then supplement whatever I don't have in the end with whatever's left in my Hyatt account and whatever's in my chase and still keep my chase points for other things like Air Canada or United or something else that may pop up. So that's what we did. I'm such a rule follower. I was so scared to buy. We waited till January 2nd or something like that so that the calendar year would reset. So when the calendar year clock reset, I purchased 137,500 points, which cost $2,640, which is a lot of money. I'm not saying it's not. We like to do things on a budget. But we're talking about an aspirational stay at Miraval, which is an all-inclusive wellness resort that for 2 people over the date that we ended up booking it for would cost $9,960.
What?
Yes. So yeah, that's what I paid for out of pocket was the 2,640. That got me to 137,500 points. I needed 187,000. So I transferred 32,000 from my Chase account into my Hyatt account. And I had 18,000 points just sitting in my Hyatt account, and that made up the difference.
Wow, that's so smart.
Yeah, so there are some really good savings to be had if this was something that you were planning to do. I would never pay $9,000. I always knew I wanted to hack that. I was scraping away my chase points, and I'm like, I'll have it in time for when I want to do this trip. I was pretty close, but like, why use them when I can just use this and I'm only paying a fraction of the price?
Yeah, I mean, we're always talking about using points to supplement your travel costs, building a discount in by just using points. But I never really thought about it this way. Hey, so let's say I'm someone like you were saying earlier who loves points, but I can't meet minimum spends all the time, or I don't want to. I'm not always applying for credit cards, and I have like a good stash of points, but I can look to see, okay, well, I have a $10,000 travel budget, right? So let's say it's my last trip of the year and I really only have like $2,000 left in the budget and then my points. Basically, what you did was like, look, I'm going to use the rest of my travel budget to just buy the points. And then, I can use some of the other points I have instead of eliminating that and trying to use all of the points you have, which then you'd have to figure out a way to earn those points again. Like, it's just, I don't know if that's making sense the way I was saying it, but like, you want your points to stretch as far as possible. And if you can't get the points earning it the traditional way that we talk about, this could definitely be an amazing option.
Hey guys, it's Genni here. Sorry to interrupt. If you love the podcast, I've got a free budget travel 101 course to help you start saving on flights, hotels, and more. Grab it at travelingfranklins.com/budgettravel101 or check the show notes. Want to connect with other like-minded travelers? Join the Lazy Budget Travel Tips Facebook group. I share more tips, host live Q&As, and keep you up to date on the latest. And if you're looking to show your support, check out my affiliate links or buy me a coffee. Back to the episode.
Oh, for sure. And you just hit the nail on the head. I'm in a part of my travel hacking journey right now where I don't really want to open new cards. I opened up a Capital One Venture X last year. We usually, our intervals are every January and July because that's when we pay for our car insurance. So that's a big spend for us. So that's usually when we do that. So I opened a card last July and I have enough points to pay for the things that I want. We don't do like, or we haven't had the opportunity to. I'm sure I would love to, and we just haven't done that. But we usually do economy, domestic flights or or other international flights, and we're totally fine with that. We want our points to go further, as you said. So that's exactly where I'm at. Where I'm not really like inclined and motivated to deal with, oh, I have two open cards here and doing all these things. In my lazy girl phase of travel hacking, and this for me was just the no-brainer. And now I still have my chase points, and if other things pop up later on, and for example, I did have something else pop up that I was able to use my points for, which was, unfortunately, my grandmother passed away in March, and we last minute had to book flights to Panama. And the flights on Copa last minute were like $1,800 per person for economy. And then I transferred my points to Air Canada. Air Canada is part of the same alliance as Copa. And so I was able to book flights on Copa for my mom and myself. And we both had our first business class experience because there were only business class seats available on the way back. And it was worth every point I used. If I would have spent all those points to book Miraval earlier in the year, I wouldn't have had those available to me to use. So I always like to read a little, just again, comparing it to it being like personal finance, like having my little emergency fund of points here and
Oh
there.
my God, I love using, yes, an emergency fund of points. Yes, that's good. I mean, and we talk about don't hoard your points, but depending on your situation, you may need to have like a little nest egg or your emergency fund of points. We never want to get to zero, and then like have to work our way up, that then we're taking time that we could be traveling, by trying to earn those points back. So that's such a great way to look at it for sure. So I'm going to be referring to it as emergency fund now. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, just going back to the Miraval thing, I think this is one of the magical things about points and miles, whether you're buying them or you're earning them. Like, I would have never thought that that opportunity would be available to me. And, all it takes is listening to podcasts, checking out friends' Instagram accounts, paying attention, and being able to make these opportunities available, not only for ourselves, but for our families. And it's great.
I love it. There's so many experiences that we never would have been able to afford if it weren't for points. And I'm so grateful to you for opening our eyes to another layer of buying points, because now we can make our points stretch even further, because we're fortunate that we do have a set travel budget and then we use points to supplement. And now I can make that, I can make my emergency fund worth more for longer. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about, like, we talked about Hyatt, like that's your go-to example. One loves Hyatt. Oh, wait, before we get into that, I do want to go back to what you were saying about how you want to make sure that you have your World of Hyatt account 60 days because they won't let you buy the points. And that's really the same for all of the programs. They want to prevent fraud. They don't want people just opening up accounts fraudulently. They're using someone else's information. So they want to make sure that you've had your account for a while. And sometimes it's 90 days. And that goes for like transferring points too, guys. So if you have a Chase card, for example, this goes for any cards that have transferring points, but if you have a Chase card, I like to tell people, go through the travel transfer partner list. I don't care if you don't think you're ever going to fly that airline. You should go and create an account for every single one of those partners, because when you are ready to transfer your points and you thought, oh, I would never fly Copa. You probably thought, I will never fly Copa. Like, why do I have to worry about getting Air Canada or something, you know?
Exactly.
Then it comes up and they say to you, "Oh, well, you didn't create an account 90 days ago, so you're gonna have to wait in order to transfer your points. You're, SOL." So if you
Yeah,
create those accounts right away, then when you're ready, then bam, you are ready to go.
exactly. Yep.
So, anyways, back to my original question, which was, Hyatt's your go-to example. Are there other the other chains that you use to buy points, or have you just done Hyatt for now?
For right now, I've only done Hyatt. I
Okay.
think for me, it's just so easy. Like I think most people might be surprised to find this out, but I'm mostly a Marriott Bonvoyeur.
Nothing wrong with that.
Has been slowly transitioning to Hyatt because it's just I mean, come on, it's so easy and your points just go so much further. I do a little bit of travel for work, and the places I travel to, Marriott has a bigger footprint. That's why my allegiance to Marriott is just easier for me. It just works out for me that way. But for my personal travel and stuff like that, I mean, just Hyatt just makes sense. That's the only one that I've really focused on. Everything else, I don't really stay at Hilton. I do here and there. So yeah, Hyatt has been my go-to. I haven't had to buy any points for airlines or anything like that, but same concept. They also sell points. You can also check on whatever hotel chain website or airline, their website. They usually will announce that they're having those sales. So just keep an eye out for that. And then that's the prime time to jump in on purchasing points.
Yeah, for sure. I get those emails now too that I bought the points from Hyatt. And I do think that it can make sense for other chains. I just think it depends on if they have a bonus. Normally, without the bonus, it probably wouldn't ever make sense, but because of the bonus, it does.
Also, some of the other chains actually have bigger sales bonuses. Some of them do 100% bonuses. So, I mean, again, do the math. If you have something planned, see what makes sense. Don't just speculatively buy points.
But also, don't be fooled. They might say that they have a bonus, and you think, oh, well, there's a bonus. It must make sense for me to buy my points. Not necessarily. You still got to do the math. Just don't be tricked by their sales tactics.
Yeah.
Just run the numbers real quick, and you'll know pretty quickly whether or not that bonus is actually going to make sense for you or not. Yeah, for sure. What would you tell someone who's never considered buying points before?
Just take the tips that we talked about today, read the fine print, take the steps to do it, do the math, and then just go for it. It really is a great tool to reach your goals.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree. And that's coming from someone who, went from, why would you ever buy points? That's stupid, to, okay, I'll buy a little bit of points. And then now I'm all in. You got to start somewhere, right? Just go for it.
Mhm.
All right. So are you ready for some rapid fire?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay. Best hotel you've stayed at using points.
This lodge in Canada, so outside of Banff. And this was before I was officially travel hacking. I just had racked up enough points through hotel stays, and oh my gosh, absolutely beautiful property. Do it, guys. Just trust me on this one.
What type of points did you use?
Marriott.
Okay. If you could use points anywhere tomorrow, where would you go?
Ooh. Probably either back to South Africa. I absolutely love South Africa. Or maybe somewhere else in Africa, like Kenya or Tanzania.
I would love to go to South Africa. Definitely on the list for sure. Okay, anyway, so big splurge or budget stretch. What is more satisfying to you?
Oh, I think it depends on the situation. It really does. For a longer trip, obviously budget, but I feel like, for example, the New York trip, we definitely splurged and it was so worth it. Even, I mean, even with saving the amount of money that we did, we got to splurge on other things. So
Hmm.
that was really satisfying.
Yeah, I don't know if I could pick either, to be honest.
Yeah. I feel like it's
So,
situational.
yes, agreed, agreed. So, what has been your most, wait, that actually worked travel hack that you've used? Like one that you couldn't believe actually worked.
Honestly, every travel hack I've done, I'm like, someone's gonna come tell me that we're in the wrong room and just kidding. You can't
The
be.
travel hacker police. People always think that there's like the travel hacker police that's gonna come and like arrest you for trying out something that's not illegal. We're thinking it a little more outside the box.
Yeah. I mean, everything I do, I always feel like, oh my God, I can't believe I did. We got away with that.
Yeah, it's like when Brandon and I, my husband and I, for our anniversary, stayed at Raywa Ranch when Hyatt and small luxury hotels had their partnership. And it was originally $1,800 a night, but we paid
Whoa.
$0 because we used the Hyatt points. I remember being there and just being like, wow, like someone's gonna come out of the shadows and be like, you didn't pay money for this, you're not supposed to be here. Because the other people that were with us, they didn't use points.
That's how it's gonna be at Miraval. You know, I'm gonna be like total imposter syndrome hanging out at the White Lotus. Someone's gonna know that I snuck in here. They're gonna kick me out. Compared it to, by the way, when we told them like, oh, you know, for my 40th, we're going to this place, and we start explaining to him what the place is like. He's like, so the White Lotus? And now I can't unsee it.
No,
Like, I'm going to the White Lotus for my 40th.
that's hilarious. I love it. Hopefully, no one dies.
Probably no murders, no
Yeah.
trauma.
No murders. Oh, and I was gonna say when we were like everything we're talking about is legal. There are definitely other podcasts, other sites, and like Reddit threads where there are definitely things they're talking about, things you should not be doing. Well, when I say legal, I mean against terms and conditions, not like criminally, you know? But I do have to say disclosure that I'm not a lawyer. So if you're not sure if what we're talking about is legal, you should consult an attorney or read, and read the terms and conditions and stuff. So, not a lawyer,
I'm also
but
not an attorney, and I also suggest speaking to one if you're not sure.
exactly.
Not so much on the legal side, but if you are doing that something that is against the terms and conditions, not so much that you might like go to jail, but they might call back your points, they might shut down your account. Really think
Mhm.
about it. That's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, last question. Carry on only or checked bag?
Carry on only.
Same.
Yeah, I got lazy a couple times recently. There's a lot of stuff that goes into if you're listening to the podcast, I have very curly wild hair. There's a lot that goes in here, and sometimes putting that, replenishing the travel,
Mhm.
size stuff is a big pain. So I have gotten lazy a couple times recently, and since I have all the credit cards and I get all the free bags, I'm like, it's
Mhm.
fine. But no, normally very much carry on. I like to just walk off the plane and be ready to go wherever we're going.
Same. If it's like a shorter trip and it's a direct flight, I usually don't worry about it as much, but I still will bring a carry-on only size
Yes.
bag though.
I do the same. I have a carry on. I'm the bigger carry on from Away. And then I also have an Away 25-liter travel backpack. It opens up like a suitcase, and it has all the little pockets for your iPad and your laptop. And so I bring that as my personal item. And between those two things, I normally don't need to bring anything else, even if I'm checking the bag.
I have just the carry-on, not the bigger carry-on. I just have the carry-on Away, and then I do have a bigger Monos. I actually like the Away more than the Monos. I don't know if anyone out there is like Team Monos, but I like the Aways better, if I'm going to be honest. My mom has a bigger carry-on, and I would choose her bigger carry-on over my Monos. Sorry, not sorry.
That's an insult because I've only had we're an Away family here, myself and my fiance. I mean, I think he's got more Away stuff than I do at this point, but we're both big fans of Away. And I have wondered, I'm like, oh, At some point, I think I need a medium bag for some of my work travel that I do. And I have thought about the mottos, but I'll just stick to a weight.
I mean, it's not bad or anything. It's just if I was going to compare, I would rather take my mom's bigger carry-on than my monos, which is the same. It's about the same size.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To each their own.
Yes.
All right. So closing takeaways. Buying points is a legit strategy if you do it with a plan. And remember, if you don't want to have 20 credit cards, that's totally fine. You could use this strategy to help supplement. And then add MaxMyPoint to your strategy when you're looking at hotels and trying to find hotels on points. Why don't you tell them where they can find you on social media so they can get more tips from you and more travel inspo?
Sure, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is at Travel Points and Views. I haven't been posting a lot, but I hope to do a lot more this year. So just keep an eye out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think everyone knows social media can be a lot, especially if you're working full time. But the point is that when you do post, it's really great information. So definitely a good follow.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Same goes to you. And I'm so happy that we were finally able to connect, especially since we're so close to each other. We'll have to meet in person very soon.
Yeah, now that we've met face to face online, we definitely had to make it happen in person. And it's so funny too when I do meet people in person from like meeting them on Instagram or on a Zoom call. I feel like I already know them and I forget that I'm like, oh my God, I've never met you actually in person. It's so crazy.
It's funny. That's happened to me with Nicole Haynes from Nicole's Travel Tips. We've talked to each other forever, and then we finally met up for lunch. Like, oh, how's Jane? And, your daughter. Like, no, your whole life story. And yeah, it's pretty funny. But this is actually one of the things that I love and I do miss, now that I haven't been really posting as much, is that I do miss the community aspect of being online. There's a lot that comes with being online, not all of it great, but I think that this is one of the things that is great and that I do miss. And I wish that that's why I'm like, I should really get back into it, because I do miss talking to people and like learning things or teaching things or just watching people trips and getting inspired so I can add 10 billion more things to my list of places I want to go.
Yeah, exactly. I know it is a really cool community to be a part of. And with any community, there's going to be some that you relate to more than others. And I know both of our goals is to be super relatable. So definitely follow Ionna. Well, Ionna, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And if you have ever scrolled past a buy points email and thought hard pass, maybe today's episode gave you a reason to reconsider, because buying points in every situation may not make sense, but it might if the math checks out. So it could definitely be something that will turn a trip that was a maybe someday into something that you can book today. If this episode gave you a new way to think about your points and miles strategy, share it with a friend or join us in the Lazy Budget Travel Tips Facebook group. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. And please leave me a rating and review. I always love to hear from you guys on what you are learning from the podcast. Until next time, keep it simple, keep it fun, and keep exploring. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Next, go grab our free Budget Travel 101 course. You'll find it in the show notes or at travelingfranklins.com. And join the community. The Lazy Budget Travel Tips Facebook group is ready and waiting for you. I'm excited to see you there, and I'll catch you in the next episode.